66 days to go until the Iowa caucuses, and former President Obama has a piece of advice for the Democratic field, reportedly warning candidates who are trying to recreate his victory in Iowa that in today's environment, he would not run the same campaign as he did back in 2008. A new article from Politico also says Obama said privately that if Bernie were running away with the nomination, Obama would speak up to stop him. Here with me to break it all down, former senior advisor to President Obama, Neera Tanden, and former Republican Congressman David Jolly. So, Neera, former President Obama has been, I think, as he promised, as he was leaving office, very disciplined in keeping his thoughts largely to himself. We don't hear him talking every day about the latest thing Donald Trump is talking about. And he hasn't had a lot to say about the 2020 campaign. But we have seen a few things leaking out lately. Could that be a sign that President Obama, like a lot of Democrats, is feeling a little bit nervous that Donald Trump could win re-election?
Well, I think anyone rational should think that an incumbent president could be re-elected. And I think that's a common view within the Democratic Party. That's one of the reasons why electability is such an important issue in this election, because there is a fear, a much greater fear than there was in 2016. There's a fear that Donald Trump will win this time. So I think what President Obama has been doing is actually trying to talk about the kind of race that needs to happen and, in a matter of words, put up some guardrails about the direction of the party, but not come out for any particular candidate.
Well, let's talk about those guardrails, because you know the Politico piece says Obama doesn't want to interfere with the nominating process, but if he thought Bernie Sanders was going to win, he'd step in. Have you heard of that? Do you
I have not heard that. I have not heard that at all, and I just
How about any concerns that, I mean, you know what the take on Bernie is, what the take on Elizabeth Warren is. They're too far to the left. We need a more moderate candidate. Does that sound like something President Obama would say at a fundraiser behind closed doors?
I haven't heard anything like that, but look, he released a statement a few weeks ago, which, says very clearly, if you look at the whole statement, that there is a strong and important role for activists within the party, and that they have a critical voice, but also this is an election against Donald Trump, and you have to recognize that essentially not all policies will play, and some things that the activists like may not be what the whole country likes, and we should be mindful of that. I mean, it was a very tempered statement, but it also made clear that elections are about winning, and this election for Democrats should be about putting up a candidate who can beat Donald Trump. And that, I think, is a mix of both putting up a candidate. You need to put up a candidate who can have a mix of support, both from activists, but also reach out to swing voters.
So, David, on that whole sort of conversation, the founder of BET, Black Entertainment Television, Robert Johnson, says this: I do not see anybody in the Democratic primary race today that is enough in the center where I believe most of the voters are, and particularly where most African Americans are. What do you make of that statement, and do you think that's what Republicans are hoping for and counting on?
Well, look, I'll tread lightly in offering any disagreement with President Obama or the founder of BET. What I would say, my experience in politics,
successful individuals.
That's more than a two-term congressman, right? What I would say is people want bold leadership, and I think what appealed with Barack Obama's candidacy was it was bold leadership, it was hope, it was change. It was also a little tempered in his expectations, right? He didn't try to go to the public option right away. He wanted to close Guantanamo Bay, but never quite could get it done given the realities of national security. I think you can have both spirits in a candidate, and if Democrats choose to go the progressive route, I think that's great. I think it's how you communicate with the American people that you understand perhaps there are people with more centrist leanings. Medicare for All is about saying you must enroll in this Medicare program. The public option is about saying you may. And in the reality of 28-second sound bites, Republicans are going to paint it all as a massive tax cut. So if there's any words of caution from President Obama, I think it is be who you are as a Democratic Party. If it is progressive, God bless you. Begin to deal with the realities that you have to get to 51%. That doesn't mean abandoning your ideology. It means how do you communicate? And I think you're seeing Mayor Pete, for instance, try to wrestle with how do I communicate a progressive message to maybe a Midwest audience. He's the one that naturally has some of that experience, as is Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you an unanswerable question, and we only have 30 seconds left to answer an unanswerable question. But the thing about Barack Obama is the kind of excitement he engendered, right? And you can make an argument that Democrats who are so fed up with President Trump are going to be excited about whoever it is. They're going to work for them. They're going to donate to them, even if it maybe wasn't their first choice. Having said that, you see people like Deval Patrick getting into the field, Michael Bloomberg getting into the field. I don't know, do you see any excitement for them? And what is that thing, what is that magic dust that may be out there that the Democrats need?
I think there are two elements right now at play. Maybe they'll change. Joe Biden is hoping for inevitability, where Warren, Sanders, and Mayor Pete are hoping for the intangible. Some candidates get the intangible, and it accelerates their candidacy towards a momentum and captures the national imagination. I think the intangible candidates are often more powerful than the inevitable ones. But look, Joe Biden has nationally polled at the top of the race since he got in, even if there's a disconnect in the early primary state polling.
Can I just say one really quickly on this? It's just moderate candidates in 2018 moderate candidates were able to actually excite people and get people to the polls. We have some history in 2018, and it worked.
That's right.
Neera, David, great to see both of you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. More on the terror incident in London now. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson just talked about the attacks near London.